We just have a few questions, obviously. So we're here at Teens Learn to Drive, and we're all about like driver safety. And one of the biggest problems that we're tackling right now is street racing. So a lot of the questions that we're going to be asking you today are all about street racing and that sort of thing. And we just want to get like an insider's perspective from a racer. So we can kind of start out. What got you into racing for the first question?
Yeah, actually, my dad was a gym teacher, and we were always around sports and different kind. I mean, I played football, rugby, basketball, soccer, name it. We played all kinds of sports, but my dad was a gym teacher and as well as a mechanic teacher. So he was working on his own cars and cars to race at Mossport, at CTMP and Mont-Tremblant and Montreal Grand Prix and places like that on the weekends. But that's the way we started, following my dad to race weekend, and we kind of hooked on racing at a young age.
Yeah, to add on to that, I did a little bit of research, and I noticed that your brother as well, he races as well in the Pinty series, right? Did he have an influence on you as well when it came to starting out in racing, or was it mainly just your dad got you both into it, or what was that?
Well, yes. I mean, my dad got both of us into it, but my brother is older than me by about 3 years older than me. So, of course, I mean, he was doing the path and the trail in front, doing some series. And JF always worked a lot on the cars. I did work a lot on the cars, but, since he was the first one, he was the first one taught to work on these beauties. So, I mean, that way he taught me a lot how to work on cars as well as how to drive those cars. And some part of it, I had to do my own learning as well, because he was busy trying to figure out how to win races and how to be up front. And as well as I was doing the lower categories, and some weekend he wasn't there. So I had to do my own I had to do my own stuff to be performant.
Yeah, of course. Is everything good? I think the camera just went off.
Sorry.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, no problem.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, so obviously you've been racing for a long time. So we wanted to get sort of a perspective from the racer. So could you discuss some of the dangers of professional racing?
There is some danger, but I mean, it's not something we think about, but obviously there's always risk. But I mean, again, there's a lot of sports that can be risky, and there's a lot of things we can do daily that could be really risky as well. So, I mean, the good thing about racing is everybody goes the same direction. We have flaggers, flag stands. We have a system. We have the rules that every driver has to follow on the track. And obviously the goal for everybody is to go fast, but in the same direction on the path, and that's the difference in between, being on the racetrack, doing it into a closed circuit, than doing it on the streets.
Yeah, so that was sort of our next question. You sort of answered that already. We were going to ask, in comparison, like what are some of the dangers of like street racing? So I guess you kind of already answered that.
Well, I got more to that.
Yeah.
Obviously, I get it. We all love cars. We all love to pimp them up and make them faster, and then find a way to go faster than the guy next door or the girl next door, obviously. But the big idea behind doing it in a closed circuit, or if you want to do drag racing, do it somewhere that it's within some rules and within some safety area, that it's safe for yourself, for the competitor that you're trying to beat, as well as for the people around you. So all in all, I know it costs a bit more money, but usually it brings you even more pride to make it safely and within the rules, because that you can have big problems going on the streets. Yes, you can kill yourself, you can kill someone else, you can injure people, and then afterward, this is just for a short moment. I mean, yes, you're proud of winning races, you're proud of doing it, for there's a purpose behind that, but if you do it with a system and in a safe area, then you'll feel even better because you know that you got the best guy beside you, because the best always show up, some places that are, within rules and within a category or a system. And that's why it makes it so important to do it the proper way. I'm not saying that it's easy to keep your, you want to go fast all the time. So if you go in the street with a very fast car, you will have that little devil on your shoulder saying, hey, get going. But the reality is, on the streets, there's so many things that can happen in front of you. Like, it could be someone that's not very comfortable driving in the car. He is just using his car to go from A to B, and he's not, doesn't even think about going fast, or even think about having the reflex to avoid you because you're going too fast, or and then the other thing we have to think about, when you have a fast car, usually you make it light, you make it with performance parts, but doesn't mean that these things can't break. If something breaks on the car, then you can injure someone on the street. So for me, streets are to go from A to B safely, be respectful of everybody else on the street. You don't want to scare your mom, you don't want to scare your granddad that's driving in the street still, and he's reliable, he's still capable of going from A to B, but he's not ready to have you coming crazy fast and drive beside his door, or you clip his mirror because you want to be badass.
Yeah. So what sort of safety equipment do you guys use at the Pinty series that wouldn't be available to street racers?
Oh, well, there's a lot of things you can do on a car, even if you bring that car in the streets. But mainly what we have in the race car is everything is built around safety. We have a roll cage, we have fire extinguisher, we have 5-point belts, we have safety nets, we have the Hans device, we have the helmet, we have all the suit, gloves, shoes that are fireproof. We have the way that the car is built inside as well, is built so if the fire kicks in, then it's going to be slower to get burned, obviously. And there's many other things. The way that the car collapses if there's a collision, it's not gonna. Some part of the car is gonna get the hit before you get the hit. In a big crash. Like the seat itself, just the seat in NASCAR car is built around your body, but you got the neck protector, you got shoulder protector, you got ribs protector, hips, legs. Everything inside is built so you don't move around too much when there's an impact. In a street car, you have one belt going like this. If there's a side impact from one side or the other, even if you have airbags, you will flap around in the whole deal. And if you're not driving, if you're passenger, could be even worse because you have nothing to hold on and you don't have any control. You don't know from where it's going to come, and there's going to be maybe one hit, but afterwards, when the cars start going all over the place, well, you don't have the control. So it's street car safe, but it's not safe to go 200 miles an hour and start doing flips and going ups and down. This is not the way it's made for, and that's why you got to keep that for race cars or on a racetrack. And there's a way to do it.
Yeah. So you talked a little bit about the cars itself, and we've had some feedback from some of these questions from other interviews that we've completed, and a lot of them have said that like the emergency team is like a really big part. Be with you within seconds. So could you talk about sort of some of the precautions that the track itself offers to the Pinty series racers that obviously street racers wouldn't be able to have?
Exactly. I mean, the car is one thing, but now once you go to the racetrack, you have the safety crew that's there all the time and very quick, and they are used to deal with cars. They are used to deal with the emergency is a car, like is a guy or a girl in a car that was crashed. So they're trained to react properly and do the right things. And open up the hood or the roof or the door, or they have tools to get you out of there really quick. If it's on fire, they will get you out of there really quick as well. So they are, I mean, we need them. They are our little angel at the track, that's for sure. And that's the big deal, you know, like they would be there in no time. And there's usually, they can airlift you from the track. I mean, we talk about all that. We never want it to happen, but it's there. You know what I'm saying? It's there and ready to be efficient and take care of us, you know?
Yeah. To add on to that, obviously, when we're on the main roads, like the streets, there's like potholes, and then there's weather conditions and all this other stuff that could happen. Could you talk a little bit about the difference between the road surface that you drive on with professional racing compared to street racing as well?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how it is in Ontario, but in Quebec the roads are pretty bad.
Yeah.
You got a lot of bumps, potholes, and the thing with the racetrack is, you, again, as I told you earlier on, but we have flag stands, so we have all kinds of flags that tells you if something's on the track, there's oil or a debris or any kinds of things. So you know from one lap to the other if the track is safe, or you better be careful because something might be on track. But on the street, you don't have that. You don't know if you get in a corner and from the day before, the week before, that asphalt now is damaged. It's got a big pothole, and you know, you got performance tires or whatever. It's great, but at the same time, if you get in that hole, it's easy to make a flat tire. The other thing is, you don't know from the morning to the night if there's someone like a big truck that dropped some sand on the asphalt, or a big 2x4, or a parts or something, or box, or you never know what could be on the roads. So if you go fast, you don't really have the time to react to avoid those situations. And if you do react, then you can end up in the ditch. But those ditch, they're not safety barrier like we have on the racetrack. They're not like tire barriers that we have on the racetrack. They don't. It's made so you can have snow there in the winter. You can evacuate water. It's not made for super fast impact, and then again, you don't have the safety crew ready to go and help you in the ditch right there. And you have all those big posts, the lamps. We don't have that on the racetrack really beside us that we can hit with a car at very high speed. That's a lot of things that people don't really understand. Is streets are made to be efficient at low speed. If you respect that speed, if they suggest it's 100 kilometers per hour, there's a reason for that. It's because there's big signs on the street, there's light posts, there's all kinds of deal. I mean, all those things, we don't have them on the racetrack. So we have, and the big thing with racetracks, yes, we have, the tire barriers and then the safety barriers, but we have a lot of sand trap. We can just end up in it. Yeah, it stuck you. You don't even hurt the car. You're stuck there, but at least nobody's hurt. Even the car's not even hurt. But you don't have sand trap on the street neither.
Yeah. Another problem that we feel like another problem we think that is involved when it comes to street racing is that a lot of these street racers think that like they're sort of invincible. They feel like they're like professionals. Like they feel like they're not going to get in an accident. So obviously, we sort of try to stress to them that these are like things that professionals should be doing. So could you talk a little bit about like your experience? Like how long have you been racing for? Obviously, you might have way more experience than these street racers who just go 150 on the highway or something like that, right? So,
I mean, yeah, and I think it's the big deal about, yes, you can have a great car, you can you have big talent on building a great car, and then it's going to be awesome on the racetrack, and you can learn and then get very good driver as you get going, and you keep building the car and building your skills on driving the car itself. But again, if you always do it on the streets and you put yourself into a competition mode without a lot of experience, and you do it not in a safe area, then you bring more points that can go wrong,
Hmm.
And again, if you want to talk about driving, there's so many things we learn, through a career, how to drive cars, how to be efficient, how to go fast and being safe and bring the car back home. So at the end of the race, you can win. That's a long task. And I'm sure a lot of those guys or girls out there have a lot of talent driving the car, but sometimes they just didn't give themselves the time to develop that talent on a safe circuit, on a safe track. And then they put themselves in a situation that things can go wrong. You can be lucky for a couple times, and then you think, oh, I'm invincible. Oh, I've done that. I've done it. Yeah, but sometimes you can get it done three, 4, 5, 6 times, but at one point,
Yeah.
the luck is gonna get you back, and then when it's gonna bite you, it's gonna bite you bad. So just gotta be aware. Find a track, find a place to do it. Start the right way. Try to do it safely. Always remember that on the streets, you're sharing the road with people. You have friends out there, or it could be the friend of another friend that can get killed by someone that tried to go too fast. And don't judge a guy that went too fast. It's just he was in the wrong place to try to go fast. So just talk to each other and say, hey, let's not do that on the streets. It's about being on a closed circuit and safe area, so we can try to all live of that passion.
Hmm. Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that. Our next question is about so obviously a lot of these street racers, we think they do still have that passion, they have that need for speed, right? So what advice would you give to them to take it to a safe environment, to take it to the track? What advice would you give?
First of all, you try to point where is the track, where you can find a track to do some drag racing or some road racing or some oval stuff, or even I would say, you know what, the best way to do it is try to start with karting. Karting is a good way to start, to help your driving skills and see how much you can like that. I can tell you this. I mean, I'm right now with the COVID, there's no much we can drive. Hopefully, we're gonna have some announcements done by the Pinty series soon. But what I've been doing is going go-kart racing, and you got some of those go-karts, man. They'll kick your butt pretty good. Like they're fast and they're physical, and that if you want some adrenaline and if you want to keep your head sharp and being very good at driving, it's the way to start. So, but afterwards, if you like to work on your cars and and then that's the way my dad started. He worked on his car over the week, and then over the weekend when he had the money, when he was going to the racetrack, and he was trying to race him against other people that had the same passion than him. And it's not because he had a lot of budget. He didn't have much budget, but he was passionate about it. He liked
Yeah.
to work on the cars as much as driving the cars, and it's a lot of what the people like about performing performance cars and how to do the modification on your cars and all that. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, so for some of these people that want to get into like professional racing, you've already went through that whole path, and now you're in the Pinty series. So is there like how do these street racers, how do they get into professional racing? What do they have to do?
I mean, professional racing is obviously not easy. It's a lot of dreams and a lot of work, and it's a lot of mistakes. You do try a lot of things. It's not always working. You have to be dedicated to that sport like there's no tomorrow to make it happen, and then work your way up the steps up to the professional part of it. But you have to be very good at working on the cars. You have to be very good at driving the cars, but you have to be very good at working on the marketing plans to get sponsorships. So it's going to be a win-win deal with your sponsors. Like myself, I've been with WeatherTech for 8 years now. The best floor liners in the business. And then we wanted to win races. We wanted to win championship, but we wanted to sell floor mats and then floor liners, sorry. And then sell a lot of product from WeatherTech. And that's the thing about if you want to go racing and you want to find sponsorship, you got to make sure that it's going to be a win-win deal with them. You can't just let it be, okay, thanks for the money, I'll go racing. And then when there's no more money, then please give me more money. It's not the way it works. You got to give it back to the sponsors so they find that it's worth it for them to be part of your program. Anyways, having said that, if you start low, I mean, you're going to have to start low at some point. You're going to have to start karting. You're going to have to start doing some Formula cars. That's the way I started, doing Formula cars, and then worked our way up, doing a lot of events and a lot of marketing plans, trying to get sponsorship, and as well as needed to be upfront. Whatever we've done, we work to be upfront in the races and in the championship we've done, and here we are.
Yeah, so I don't know if you know too much about the whole street racing scene, but we heard that often at these car events, and while people street race, that drugs and alcohol is involved. Obviously, this is something that normally should not be the case. So do you know if this is the case behind these scenes? And if so, like, do you have any input on the whole drugs, alcohol, and all of that?
I mean, that is something we don't have in professional racing, and this is something we don't have in the closed circuits racing. The thing about when you show up the racetrack is for me is a sport. It's not like you can have a beer after and take it responsibly, but now we've already said if you go in the streets, you have posts, you have all kinds of sidewalk, you have the light posts, and then you got all the ditch that are not made for safety. You have people that are not there for racing, and they don't expect you to go fast because the first reason why you want to be in the street is from A to B. You have transporters, you have all that, plus you don't help yourself. If you put on top of it alcohol and drugs, I don't see how you can make it for a long life. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to be smart about what you're doing here, and then think about the show can be at the racetrack itself. The show can be in a safe environment, but the show is not in the streets. When something really bad happened, the show was not good, and nobody liked that show. And that's why you can't be a hero to a zero really quickly. One weekend, okay, you made the show, you got lucky, there was no cops pulling you over with alcohol or drug in the car. But first of all, you're not going to help yourself to be better at driving if you take alcohol or drugs. That's impossible.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be driving with alcohol, and I don't think that, it's impossible to go faster being a little like this. Impossible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we were just wondering, have you ever been injured or seen someone get injured on the track?
Yeah, there was people that got injured on the track, and I got injured here and there, but knocking on wood, nothing. I mean, you never want things like that to happen, and obviously I've done a lot of racing, a lot of starts. I mean, I got some stuff that I keep dragging, some injuries or some overused stuff on my body, but it's part of the game, But again, I've seen bad things on track, and it does sometime happen. But I would say that now it's getting safer and safer than it used to be, and I like the fact of it that cars are safer, and then all the system around it is safer. As I told you, NASCAR put a lot of emphasis on making those cars very safe, and hopefully I don't see nobody getting injured soon.
Yeah. So we were just wondering, most professional drivers feel safer on the track than on the street. Like we interviewed James Hinchcliffe, if you know him, and he said that too. So do you feel the same? And if so, why?
Oh, of course, I do feel the same on the track, because again, like, we have all the safety device, we have all the people on track. The track itself is made for us going fast. All the other drivers that surround us on the track are professional drivers, and some of them can be sometimes a little tricky to drive around, but no, saying that, I mean, we all have the same goal, and we know when we get on the track that we're going to go fast, and we're going to be focused on what we're doing, and everybody else around us is on the same goal. So the streets, you have all those people that do a lot of things in their cars. They all have different skills. You can have someone that is a brain surgeon that is very good at what he's doing, but when he's driving a car, he's just not as great as being a surgeon. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, on the streets, if you follow the rules, if you follow all, you know, what's around you, and you keep your focus, you don't use your phone, you don't let anything distracting you, it should be all fine. But that's not what everybody's doing.
Yeah, so to add on to that point, one thing that James Hinchcliffe also pointed out to us was that because he's sort of more scared to drive on the regular roads than on the track, like he feels more comfortable on the track than on the main roads, he drives a really, really big car to keep him really safe. So we were curious for yourself, like what kind of car do you drive outside of professional racing?
Well, I know James is probably sponsored by Honda still. I'm sponsored by Dodge and Mitsubishi dealer up in Trois-Rivières, Quebec. So I'm driving sometime a Dodge, sometime a Mitsubishi, and then and it's a SUV. I feel pretty safe in it, but as well as I don't drive fast at all. I'm trying to keep myself, you know, aware of what's going on around me, and I don't trust nobody on the streets. And I have 2 young kids, so I make sure that, you know, I always keep myself very safe out there. And there's a couple of things, though, that, you know, people have to think about when they drive cars, like just the driving position, the way you sit in the car. You got to make sure that you're not too far from the pedals, you know, so you got to make sure you can be close enough to the pedals. So when you switch from the throttle to the brake, you're not like hanging your feet in the air, and then you're not, you know, precise. And same thing for your driving position. You got to make sure that the steering is close enough to you. And the other thing that's very important is always look very far ahead. You know, look on things that was, you know, if you look far ahead, things going to come towards you slower. If you keep your eyes just too close to the front end of your car, you're not gonna be reacting quick enough when there's a problem in front of you. So there's a lot of things like that, you know, like always 9 and 10 on the steering wheel to be precise. Many things that helps you to be safe out there, and then keep your distance with people. Be not being aggressive as well, because again, you can be in a good day, you can be in a bad day, but everybody else can be in a good day and a bad day. So, you know, again, you got to share streets.
Yeah. So we just have one final question. Obviously, the biggest problem that we want to do is change the street racers' minds. So these illegal street racers, they're very set on doing these illegal activity, and we want to change their mind and get them to race on a track. What do you think we can do to change their minds?
Hey, first of all, I know it's not easy. It's like any I would call it addiction, but it is a bit of addiction because you love going fast. You want to go, you want to win some races, you want to win some stuff, and you want to show other people how your car is good, how much you worked on it, and you did great, and as well as you can be a good driver. But first thing I would say is, man, whoever's driving the car, you love life. You want to be alive for a long run. Just take it easy. Go to a safe place to do it. Go to a closed circuit, closed area to make it safe, and then you can enjoy it for a long, long time. And as well as there's a lot of people that loves you, and then they want you down here unhurt, and they don't want to talk about you. They want to be with you, and as well as respecting other people as well that will share the street with you. And that could be your mom, that could be your dad, that could be a friend, that could be your sibling. It could be anybody out there that could get hurt by someone else that's driving too fast on the street. And it could be you hurting someone else, sister or brother or whatever. I mean, it's very important that you don't think about just yourself and think about everybody else that's on the street. Go find a spot so it's safe to do, and you can't hurt nobody, and as well as you don't want to hurt yourself.